Guidance Television. This is another edition of your program, Their Experts. Many people in our society today don't really understand when people talk of cultural backgrounds. In sociology, culture is known as the assembly of symbolic codes or values that members of a particular society adhere to. Today, we are talking about the concept of culture. With us this afternoon is a woman, a doctor I respect much. She's a specialist in cultural matters. Dr. Gaudence Asso. Good afternoon, Doctor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bisa.
Thanks for accepting our invitation this afternoon.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you, too.
So, who is Dr. Gaudence Asso?
I'm a scholar on cultural studies, specifically on American literature.
Okay, today we are talking about the concept of culture. What is culture?
Well, culture is a very broad concept.
Yeah.
It means so many things to different people.
Right.
Different fields of studies, different professions, different people. That is why it's so broad. When you want to look at culture, as a social scientist, you talk about the way the scholar who is addressing issues of culture actually conceives it. So there are so many definitions about it. We have people like, but the greatest and the most impactful definition of culture has been offered by anthropologists, and we really adhere to that because they have really clarified notions of culture.
So can you give us the definition of an anthropologist that you know who defined culture?
We have pillars of culture like Edward B. Taylor, who is acknowledged to be the father of anthropology, of cultural anthropology. We have people like Franz Boas, who have offered different notions, different ideas about culture. We have others like other writers, American writers on American culture, on Cameroon culture. We are talking about people like Richard T. Ritchie. We have others that I cannot name for now, but with time I'll give you the names. As a matter of fact, when anthropologists talk about culture, they have 5 major pillars.
Okay.
5 major features that they take into consideration. We are talking about, example 1, the fact that culture has to be shared. It is the shared values of people of a given society.
Okay.
But even then, I have a question. What happens to those people who do not share those values within that society? Should they be just thrown away or that kind of thing? So the second issue has to do with the symbolic nature of culture.
Okay.
Culture is shared, the symbolic nature of culture. When we talk about the symbolic nature, we are alluding to the fact that culture has to do with signs and meanings. And in this case, we are talking about how language operates. You see, there is somebody who has worked a lot on that. We are talking about Hall Stuart. He has actually shown a connection between culture, he has shown meaning, and he has shown the connection between culture, meaning, and behavioral patterns, which is very, very important. A very important notion which I also share of culture. Then the next aspect has to do with the fact that culture has to be holistic. When we talk about holistic, it means that every institution operates so that you bring people together to work for the good of a common goal. Yes, so it reaches out to everybody. And if you want to describe a cultural pattern, you don't just look at one aspect of it. You look at the different aspects that make up that culture. The third one has to do with maybe the fact that culture has to be integrated. When people share the same culture, some people should not feel as if they're not part of a given culture.
You are talking about integration of culture. That is socialization. So, what relationship has culture got to do with socialization?
As a matter of fact, culture is not something that kind of peculiar to an individual.
Okay.
It is the interaction between people, how people interact and relate to one another, that gives the form of culture. That means if you have your ideas to yourself, we cannot say that is culture. Culture has to do with the interaction. That is why there are some words that have been connected to this to the term. Some people connect culture and civilization. You see, some people connect culture and society. People connect culture and attitudes. You see, the way people behave is also in a way linked to their cultural background.
Doctor, how do you attest the fact that anthropologists make mention of the fact that the values of the society should not be based on material world?
Of course, the material worlds are just aspects of culture. They are not culture in themselves. You see, when we talk about culture, we talk about the interaction, those values that are shared, those values that we have to pass on to children from one generation to another. So those houses, aspects of culture like houses, buildings, whatever, you realize that they are just elements of culture, but they do not constitute culture, because culture has to do with all these other points that I've enumerated.
Let me take you far away to cultural amateurism. How can culture, in a way, boost up the touristic value of a society?
I think I personally like that question, because you as journalists, the media has a great role to play. We are talking about cultural agents. You see, we have people like the painters, we have the artists who write books, you see, and somebody can read a work of art and want to go. There are times when you can project a place, you see, on your screen, and people may want to watch. You see, I want to go to my village. For instance, I always tell people, there is a place in my village. We call it Beneath the Breast. Beneath the breast, yes. Okay, beneath, thank you. This place it means, in my village, it means beneath the breast.
So
it means and what do you notice there? It is like two hills, and then in the middle of that hill, a spring flows. It is a wonderful sight that I really would like people to go and take a view. When I went the first time to my village, I look at that hill, I stared at it, I was like, wow, it's so beautiful. And do you know what it means in my village? Below the breast. What does the breast offer? It's very symbolic. It's the spring of life. Yes, when a woman gives birth, what does she do? She gives that breast milk. It has everything. So it is so symbolic. I think the media should do their homework. that is why we bring experts like you, people who have studied culture, to tell our viewers more about the cultural values of our society. Exactly.
You made mention of foreign authors about culture, talking about culture. Who are the Cameroonian authors who have written much about the cultural values of our society?
I think many Cameroonian writers have written works on Cameroon culture. We are talking about somebody like Anthony Tang, who just received an award. This woman actually delineates in her work the situation of the Cameroonian girl. At times she's forced to get into marriage without even the mother or it's not being consulted. You know, many things that are happening. Take the case of Alobode the Pictures. Yes, he's a man I also respect, a scholar I respect. He has written if you have read The Woman with the Beard, you see, this text is very, very interesting. She kind of describes a woman who verges into the realm of men. You know, because in that society, the Bakosic society, there are certain expectations, things that the woman is not supposed to do. So this woman verges into that world, and she's considered an outcast. She's considered a rebel. She's looked upon by the society as somebody who is not worth it. This actually touches me because in our Cameroonian context, we realize that when the woman tries for greatness, tries to do things, she's considered as a threat to the men.
Okay.
So we think that our men, should be mentally stable and strong enough not to be scared of women like that, but they should try to encourage women like that to do greater things.
Doctor, you're talking about men. We talked about marriage. We're talking about culture.
Yes.
Is culture something we learn?
Of course, one of the major peculiarities or elements of culture is the fact that it is learned. Okay. If you have all the knowledge about culture, whatever, and you're not able to teach, you're not able to train others, you're not able to pass across this message to the young ones who can continue with the tradition, then I think you have failed. Culture has to be learned, because the way you were born and the way you are now, Mr. Bisom, there are two different things. So anthropologists think that learned, that willingness to always develop yourself, that ability to want to improve on your life, your social being, is something that should be appreciated.
And what happens when somebody in a particular society doesn't learn the values of that society?
Well, I think I particularly feel your I feel the question, because there are times when people actually do not share in the cultural ideals of that society. We are talking about the case, let's take the case of American, black Americans in America, a case I'm very familiar with. You see that this black man, when he arrives in America, what happens? He or she is already drilled on the fact that his culture is inferior and everything about the culture is not worth keeping. Whereas the people had their culture before they were being transported to America. So in that case, when you already have your outlook of life, what is culture? To me, it has to do with your ideologies, the way you look at life, your values, your ideals, your belief systems, okay, and how this affects your behavior. So if they tell you that because you are this or you are black, you are not a non-entity or whatever, it actually affects on your psyche. And at times you may not even want to integrate, you may not want to accept the values that the society, but I think people of a culture should be able to take part, share in the ideals of that culture, if the cultures are believable, okay, and objective too.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Gaudence Assor. Let's just follow this report. Viewers of 7 News Television, this report was made by Terry Ejege talking about the FENAC festival that took place in Betuo. Terry Ejege.
Lieu indiqué pour la promotion, la diffusion et la valorisation des arts et de la culture de notre pays, le FENAC, que la capitale de la région du Soleil Levant, a accueilli pour la première fois de son histoire, a rassemblé plus de 2000 festivaliers venus des 58 départements de notre pays.
La politique nationale en matière de culture a voulu qu'une culture ne soit pas supérieure à une autre, mais que les cultures se côtoient, que les cultures s'entremêlent pour former notre identité. Je crois que c'est tous les Camerounais qui sont contents. On a vu le magnifique carnaval où toutes les identités ont défilé et je pense que les Camerounais sont absolument satisfaits et commencent à comprendre l'importance de soutenir les arts et la culture de notre pays.
Ce brassage socio-culturel s'est tenu en toute quiétude grâce à l'intervention musclée des forces de défense et de sécurité qui ont transformé la ville de Betuo en un véritable camp militaire hautement sécurisé. Ils étaient omniprésents au village du festival, de jour comme de nuit. Des patrouilles arpentaient entre autres les sites que sont la place des fêtes, le lycée technique, la bibliothèque municipale et le Sénagès. Ces situations se justifient par la position stratégique de la ville de Betuo, ville tampon entre la République centrafricaine, la République démocratique du Congo, la République du Congo et le Tchad. Zone sous-régionale réputée par le grand banditisme, la criminalité transfrontalière et le commerce illégal.
Thanks, Tere Jege, for that report that was done when you came back from Bay Tour. Viewers of 7 News Television, today we are talking about the concept of culture. What is your value in your own society, your village, your country, your division or your subdivision? This moment, we have our guests, Dr. Gaudence Assou, who is a specialist in cultural matters. She's going to tell us more about that. Doctor, you just followed the report made by Tere Ejege, one of our reporters from the cultural desk. So, do you think the Ministry of Culture is doing a lot to promote culture in our society?
Well, I think so, because when I see things like that, we can say that the ministry is encouraging cultural aspects in the field of music, the field of writing. I know of somebody who was awarded a prize in literature, because he wrote a book. You see, so I think the ministry is trying. We have people who are trying to promote the rights of the writer. We have people who are, I think they're trying, but they still need to do more. And then your station, by projecting cultural aspects like this, I think you are doing your homework.
Well, thanks very much, and thanks to the cultural decks and the workers of 7 News Television. We were talking about culture, and you made mention of men should have their brain, is it washed or stable? Which do you prefer?
Well, I would say that men should kind of have a change in their mentality. You know, culture is evolving, things are changing. Okay, the way our mothers raised up some years back cannot be the way the woman is viewed as in today's world. For instance, my mother stayed at home and raised us, all of us. She was like a full-time housewife. But nowadays, women have to go to school, they have to work, and they may still expect the woman to maybe leave from work, come back, prepare food while he sits and looks at his or browses through his newspaper. There's a problem with that. We think that this kind of men should really try to understand this cultural change and move ahead. And yes, because in America there's something what we call equity. It is wonderful there. The woman and it's not like the woman is competing with the man. It's just like the men and women should be complementary. That is, the man can help. There are things that the man. Did you know that so in some countries the men have been given a paternity
leave?
That is a wonderful. Yes, it means that they need time to bond with their newborn babies. They need time to spend with their family. I think it's a very applaudable initiative. Our men should start thinking in that light.
So, are you, in another words, making me to understand that culture is evolving?
Of course, culture is dynamic. That is one of its greatest aspects, because cultural values that were experienced years back and what we experience now, they change. When I was growing up, I watched TV only from 7:30. TV just even came maybe in 1982 or so.
85.
Yeah, 85, yes. And then, you know, the time allocated to watch TV was like, but nowadays, the children are there with the phones, the social media, so we don't really expect them to still be the same way that we grew up. We really need to understand. That is why people like psychologists too, that really help us to understand the behavior of people. And anthropologists think that it's not only the behavior that counts, but the circumstances surrounding, the social, biological, and other factors that come into play each time an individual acts.
What is the relationship between culture and conflict in a particular society?
Culture and conflict. Well, to the best of my knowledge, I think that conflict normally stems about when people do not believe in the ideals of the cultural entity. Yes, because if a culture takes into account all these aspects, you try to consider, you are integrative, you are holistic, you reach out to all the different people, you see all the different cultures without a kind of biased mentality. People will not want to retaliate. People will not be conflict. But as we said, there are times when culture does not really meet the needs of the people, and then there's something that comes on that is called cultural change. It means that culture must be changed so that a better one that can handle the problems, the situation, the plight of the people can take place. I think that is what causes conflict. Except you have something.
Dr. Gordons, what relationship has culture got to do with religion?
With
religion.
I like that question because one of the significance of culture has to do with the fact that culture upholds social values.
Okay.
Yes. And then when we talk about religion, what has religion got to do with culture? We see it promotes ideals that people should, in that community, should uphold, should live so that there can be harmony. So culture is kind of linked. It is one very important element. So we talk about education, religion, we talk about the way we raise children. All those are factors that come into play when we are talking about culture. How we raise children, okay, how we handle marital relationship, exactly, how there's so many aspects, all the things people do, okay, they go on to define who really they are to.
You're talking about culture and religion. Does your culture permits you people to get into a sacred environment, women in particular?
Sacred
environment.
How do you mean? Maybe you should elaborate on that.
Well, I know in some parts of the Northwest region there are certain areas that women are not permitted to go there. Does your own culture permit you to go into that?
As a matter of fact, there is a lot of respect for the man, for authority in my village. Do you know how women in my village get into the house where men are?
No, how do they go?
She bows. Do you know that there's a lot of respect for authority. For the man has so much power in the culture. And when men are sitting, who are you as a woman to go in? So there are certain, you are not authorized to, but I think things are changing. When the man allows you to go ahead to come in, he may call you. I think you have the right to, but to say to get into some sacred places, you see, that times when because you have excelled, you have done well, the fund can even honor you and take you to some place and decorate you. I think those are parts of aspects of the culture that we really encourage in my village.
So, what are the fundamental elements of significance of culture in the Cameroonian society today?
Well, that question is very pertinent because when we look at some of the cultural values that we find in our society today, they are not worth emulating. Yeah. For instance, when I just left the Southwest region and I came to Yaoundé, there a father of a house knows that all the children are his children. He takes care of the children. You see, it's like mother. There's respect for the elderly and stuff like that. You greet everybody. It's just like when I traveled to Nigeria. Somebody who doesn't know you, good afternoon. That English culture is wonderful. They greet you, sense of camaraderie. You see, there is that. But in Yaoundé, what do we notice? At times you can stay with your neighbor, you greet the neighbor, and he or she doesn't even respond to them. They don't see it as a. You see, we want to look at the way of dressing because all those are aspects of
culture. Yeah.
Want to look at the way our young people dress. You see, some wear trousers like this, like prisoners. I say, but what is this? We see. You want to see the way they talk to to the adults. I tell my son, hey, if you can't respect me, then you have learned nothing. Yes. So all those things, how do we raise our children? You see, all those things come into play because they actually determine, they project, they boost our cultural values, and I think they're very important.
You were talking about dressing. Can you make a comparison with the way our parents in the days used to dress and those of today? Because that's part of culture too.
A very, very important aspect of culture, our dressing codes. You see, they had their way. That is why I said culture is evolving. We cannot really compare the two. For instance, in the 60s, men used to wear apaga. It was stylish then. At some point in time, men started wearing Joe Bala. You know Joe Bala, where you lift your trouser, you see. So it depends on what is a mode at the moment.
And today the young guys have decided to put tight fits.
Yes, their own way of dressing is at times you see. I said, but if you dress like this, can you go to? You are invited somewhere. Will you be able to go like? Yes. I don't think it's fashionable to them, but there's a problem. If a young girl wears a short top that reveals all that's very revealing. I think there's a problem because there are some sacred parts that should not be exposed. Yes.
You as a specialist, can you in a way tell us the different type of cultures that we have in Cameroon?
Well, when we talk about the different types of culture, we can talk about material and non-material. When we talk about material culture, we are talking about the artifacts, okay, those things that you can see and touch, like pottery, like sculpture, and the others. When we talk about immaterial, we are talking about songs, dance, we are talking about those things that remain in the mind. Okay, books, when you read a book, a work of art, you see. So when we talk about other aspects of culture, we are talking about dancing, like what we see, we have dance, we have music, the kind of music people listen to, we have the kind of food people eat. For instance, in cultural anthropology, we talk about the general aspects of culture, and we have specific aspects. Most of the general aspects include things that we are mentioning. The one we talk about specificity. In a place like the Southwest region, the way they prepare corn, it's not the same way they prepare it here in Yaoundé. Okay, for instance, they can prepare what they call corn chaff. They can prepare other things. And then in Yaoundé, they'll prepare something that they call corn. They do with a mixture of something, yes, and it's still a way of cooking. Okay, they use the same. Then even arrow, we have the arrow that you blend water leaf and the others, and then they have their own, maybe they call it a cup or whatever. So we see that there are cultural universals and cultural specificities. Yes, and according to anthropologists, they limit or they restrict their definition of culture to cultural universals. But I beg to differ a bit because I think that in every cultural context, there are people who share all the values, and there are still people who share specific values. And we think that if one of the raison d'etre for culture has to do with that shared value, we should include everyone. Everyone should be able to share that sense of belonging. And then talking about some fundamental aspects of culture, we are talking about the elements of inclusion and exclusion. A culture that excludes some people based on the basis of whether it's gender, age, tribe, or whatever, there's a problem, has a problem. Okay, we are talking about the fact that this culture has to be shared. We mentioned that. We also talk about the fact that some fundamental aspects of culture, we are talking about the fact that culture has to be, we have to encourage our people to be creative. Yes, that creative aspect of culture. We shouldn't just look at the material aspect because these are ephemeral. Okay, culture is a construct. This is what we build in our minds. You see, that is why the scholar can define it based on how he or she views it.
Is culture discriminatory?
Well, culture cannot be discriminatory because we are talking about the shared values. Yeah. But at times, when people do not share in those values, they can be considered as outcast. So in a way, that culture discriminates upon. I don't know if you get it. Yeah.
I do get you very well, doctor.
Normally, the aspect that a group of people share, there are times when people, as I mentioned, do not really share and they do not want to take part. For instance, let me cite a case where a man commits an abominable thing in that society. And how does the society react to that? They may tend to just see him as an outcast. They may tend to discriminate against him. They may tend to do all other things. So in that way, that culture is kind of, yes, but we have some powerful writers in America. We are talking about Henry James and Toni Morrison. My people, I really respect the way they handle aspects of culture. They even the way they describe even people who are kind of recalcitrant, people who go beyond the cultural limits. The way they describe them, they try to project all these other forces. They try to explain the different forces that come into play each time a character or somebody acts. So I think in this way they are saying that culture should not criticize, should not marginalize those who kind of depart from what is expected of them.
Dr. Gaudence Assor, I wish to find out from you as a specialist, is culture impulsive?
Impulsive? Well, I'll talk about impulsive. We're talking about that spontaneity in culture. Yes, the fact that culture, to an extent, the fact that culture changes, okay, but I think there are mostly values that have been deemed to be worth keeping, that they preserve, yes. But there are times when people also choose to act. And as psychologists have told us, when somebody acts, it's not just that action. You see, many things come. There are times when you act unconsciously. People are naturally impulsive by nature. At times they really are just so. I think our culture should take that into consideration.
We are talking about culture. What are the cultural sanctions that a particular society impose on a deviant character? I'll take you back to your village. What are the cultural sanctions or the sanctions that the people in your village leave it on somebody who is a deviant?
Okay, I think one thing that they do is to actually send you away from the village. Yes, but when we talk about people living in the cities, the legal body is supposed to be taking care of that. When people kind of go against what is expected of them, maybe they are sent to prison. You see, in my village also, I don't think there are other things that they do. For instance, it depends on the crime. They may be asked to provide something, maybe a goat or whatever. So I like that word. It depends on what that person has done. But if it's that grievous, you may have to be. They may decide to expel you from the village because what you have done is not what. So that is where we are saying that even though that person has done that kind of thing, we need to find out. Our cultural anthropologists will find out what prompted that person to do that kind of thing, and rather than excluding the person, they will try to put him in a place where he or she can be a better person.
According to your findings, what are some of the things that can push somebody to disrespect his cultural values?
Well, from my research, the major aspects that can really influence somebody, that can make somebody not pay respect or allegiance to a given culture, is the fact that he or she does not believe in the ideals of that culture. For instance, we have mentioned most of the different things that need to be taken into consideration. If I am here and maybe in Bamenda, and then you are in Yaoundé, and then you in Yaoundé, because the fact that you live in Yaoundé, you have all the facilities that enable you to live comfortable. And then because I'm in Bamenda, I don't have good roads. You see, at times you wonder, you say, but am I part of that society? So that feeling that you don't belong, that sense of not belonging, can really have a very negative. I think that is one of the reasons, but there are other reasons I would not like to talk about.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor.
Thank you so much for...
Viewers of 7 News Television, it's quite a pleasure that you are watching 7 News at this point in time. We are going to follow a report by an intern. She's called Miriel Ejima.
Les populations du canton d'Ngobele à Yabassi dans la région du littoral ont gracieusement cédé leurs terres à l'État pour la construction de l'une des 4 maisons de la culture que doit compter le Cameroun. Un édifice d'une superficie de 4000 m², composé de 4 blocs notamment, le bloc A pour le musée, B pour la bibliothèque, C pour l'administration et D pour l'auditorium. Un travail qui se déroule dans des conditions assez difficiles.
Les difficultés, c'est l'approvisionnement en matériaux. L'approvisionnement en matériaux vu l'état de la route et puis la saison. Voilà d'abord, c'est ça. Et tel que vous constatez ici, nous sommes en face d'un ravin. Et ce ravin, nous empruntons provisoirement l'accès au niveau des voisins. Si au lendemain, ils nous refusent de la collaboration, comprenez que nous serons bloqués. Le courant aussi, nous sommes loin du courant. Parce qu'on peut même parfois travailler même la nuit, on peut mettre les projecteurs, parce que la saison de pluie, d'abord, il y a le mois où il pleut avec orage. Donc, pour respecter les délais, parfois même on travaille même les dimanches.
C'est pour lever ces goulots d'étranglement qu'un rite de purification a été opéré par les gardiens de la tradition, en présence du ministre des Arts et de la Culture, venu présider la cérémonie de pose de la première pierre.
Cette maison de la culture est appelée à devenir un centre non seulement d'expression, de diffusion, de valorisation et de rayonnement, mais également de transmission de nos valeurs patrimoniales, surtout des valeurs qui sont liées au patrimoine culturel immatériel de notre pays.
La livraison est annoncée pour le mois de janvier 2019. Seulement, il y a lieu de s'interroger sur l'état de la route qui mène à ces joyaux architecturaux et sur la qualité du personnel qui sera amené à travailler à Yabassi, zone très enclavée qui malheureusement a tourné le dos au développement.
Thanks very much, Mirel, for that report informing us on how Yabassi finally is going to have a cultural center. I wish and I believe the Minister of Culture soon will lay the foundation stone in other villages or towns for a cultural center. Viewers of 7 News Television, we are at this point in time on 7 News Television, your program, The Experts, talking about the concept of culture. With us here is Dr. Gaudens Asso, a specialist in cultural matters. Doctor, once again, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We are talking about culture, the concepts of culture. Can you please talk about deviance? You started talking about how some culture might not be welcomed by others, that push them to become deviant behavior. Serge Moscovici defined social psychology as the science of conflicts between the individual and the society. So how can an individual get into conflict with his own society?
The question is loaded, I just say.
Yeah.
But there are many forces that come into play each time somebody really gets into conflict. For instance, in a word that I read, I would like to do literary analysis to give my examples, because there you can go back to the book and read it yourself. And yes, there is this man who actually knows what he's supposed to do. Incest is a taboo in our society.
Yeah.
When a man decides to rape his own daughter, there's a big problem. Okay, so that is a deviant behavior. Yeah. There is another book we call Sula by Toni Morrison. This girl, the grandmother insists, you have to get married, you have to bear children, you have to do things, but those are not what Sula wants. She kind of actually goes against what is expected of her. She does just what is not expected of her. And we really need to, I think that as a cultural analyst or critic, I believe that culture should take into cognizance the fact that there will always be people who do not share in those cultures, and the culture should devise ways of taking care of them, because for reasons best known to them, they may not be able to share in those values that culture demands of them.
Dr. Gordons, don't you think it's because the cultural values are being imposed on them, that's why they find it very cumbersome to adhere to the cultural values of that society?
I think that is also a very pertinent, reason, why they will not prefer to adhere. That is a very important point, because those values, maybe the expectations are too way high, and they don't see why they should. But I also think that when we talk about cultural expectations, we should also know that there are times when people just behave the way they do, because the ideals, they don't believe in the ideals of that society.
It's cultural misbehavior related to temperaments of each and every individual in a society.
I think I would personally like that question, because I see behavioral patterns as what actually determines the identity of an individual. You see, the way you behave has a lot to do, because it has to do with your value systems, it has to do with your ideals, it has to do with your beliefs. You see, so it influences your way, the way you perceive culture, and the way you behave, the way you interact with other people. So it has a very big role to play.
You made mention of generalization of culture and specificity of culture.
Yes.
Where can we place cultural dances?
As a matter of fact, when we talk about dance, most cultures, or we can say every culture in the world, share dance habits. Okay, well, dance, but the different dances differ. We have, for instance, in my culture, we have a dance that is reserved just for women. You see, and when they dance it, my dear, you really enjoy. In your culture, you have the, how do you dance?
We have the money kim. Yeah,
exactly,
we have the money kim.
The men shake their bust and so there are different ways, but the peculiarity has to do with the given culture. But in most societies, we notice that people dance. Okay, they have different ways but that is what we call cultural universals. The peculiarity has to do with the fact that only members of the given society or particular group dance in a specified way.
Can we transfer the value of one society to another? Is cultural value transferable?
Well, cultural values can be transferable, because when a culture has lapses, okay, that is why they say culture is dynamic. At times when your culture does not really satisfy the needs of the people, okay, you can borrow. We have what we call cultural borrowings. We have what we call cultural inventions. When you
when you borrow, where will you reform what you borrow from them? We were talking of cultural borrowing. When you borrow from one culture, why will you reform what you borrow from them?
Ask me. So you learn those things that, for instance, you might see the way people in Bamenda build their houses, okay, and the way they build houses in Yaoundé, they are two entirely different. Okay, you may like it, and you discover that people in, okay, when I was going to Douala, I noticed that there's a tendency of putting tiles on the walls, so it becomes a trend, okay, and people tend to start building their houses like that. So we can talk about patterns that can be transferred from one culture to another.
What is a norm or norms of a particular society? What values does a particular society give to the norms? How can a culture or a society define its own norms for people to respect?
You mean how?
Well, for example, in my culture, in Manu division, especially from my village, Eyanchan village, there are norms, rules and regulations that the people, that governs the people behavior. Those are the norms of the society. And in sociology, we also studied that. In your own culture or from your village, what are the norms that are highly respected?
Well, in my village, I think that one of the very, very important norms that I learned from my mother is the fact that you have to respect an elderly person. Yes. I remember that until I was in the university, I couldn't distinguish. At times, even when an elderly person shocks me, I'm like, okay, but how do I respond? That kind of thing. I think respect for elders, those are mostly norms that are general. And then we have in the Bamenda culture, Northwest culture, we have respect for the man of the house. In our house, my father had his own plate, his own, his chair. Yes, that is our sign of respect. We have respect for elders. We have a fear of our own cultural values. The believe in. I think there are so many things which are also very universal.
Okay, Doctor, thank you very much. Let's follow this report. Viewers of 7 News Television, I'm happy you guys are there. We are getting closer to the end of this program. But before we do that, let's follow this report made by Amante Pono from Sports to Culture, talking about how books were given to the National Museum. Amante Pono, let me get what you have for us.
Musée national de Yaoundé, le lieu chargé d'histoire, est devenu depuis quelques années un lieu de mémoire pour le Cameroun et les Camerounais. Le visiteur qui arrive ici sera frappé par la richesse culturelle de cette Afrique en miniature qui expose ici un condensé de sa diversité. C'est cet endroit qui a été choisi par le ministère des Arts et de la Culture pour abriter la cérémonie de remise de livres par les anciens élèves de l'ENA au gouvernement camerounais. Dans la salle, un échantillon sera présenté au directeur du musée national, représentant le ministre des Arts et de la Culture, empêché.
Je n'ai pas encore vu toute la totalité des livres, mais je sais que le livre c'est un plus. Un musée, c'est d'abord les objets d'art, mais il y a des services annexes comme la bibliothèque, comme la boutique, comme le restaurant. Donc, ces livres vont nous permettre de commencer la bibliothèque du musée.
Les donateurs, pour leur part, ont promis de renouveler pareille initiative pour permettre à la bibliothèque du musée national de proposer à ses visiteurs de la matière pour éclairer davantage leur lanterne.
Nous avons choisi de donner des livres parce que les livres participent de la politique culturelle du gouvernement. Et au musée national, nous sommes à un endroit, un espace emblématique de promotion de cette politique culturelle impulsée par l'État. C'est donc en association avec l'idée que le livre et les musées sont des instruments de promotion de notre patrimoine national que nous avons choisi de commencer cette démarche de donation de livres au musée national.
Les anciens élèves de l'ENA de France, camerounais ou d'origine camerounaise, sont depuis plusieurs années maintenant engagés dans des actions du même type, avec pour objectif avoué aider au développement du Cameroun.
Thank you very much, Amante Pono, for that excellent report concerning the books given to the National Museum. I wish I have one of them to read just this night. Viewers of 7 News Television, gradually we are coming to the end of this program. If you're just switching on your TV set, this is your program, The Experts. We are talking about the concept of culture. With me today is Dr. Gaudens Asso. Doctor, this question, if you're made the chief of your village today, which are the things in the culture that you will delete or wipe away?
Well, with regards to my village, there is one very important aspect that I notice. I get the impression that they expect people to make mistakes so that they can pay fines, you see. And I think that is not a very good. They should drill people on the different things that those things that are expected of them, so that they don't have to fall. Yeah. Then one of my relatives told me that there's a rope that you put somewhere. When it's your turn, you cross over that rope, know that somebody will die. All those things, like those superstitious beliefs, they still exist. I think they should be really wiped out.
Okay, Dr. do you have a cell phone?
I do.
Is it the Android, because we are the Android generation, or the other type?
I have to go with the wind.
So, do you frequent the social media?
Well, I do once in a while, I do, but I'm not like addicted to it, because I know when I can go there once in a while. I do admit.
So, which of the social media do you usually frequent?
Well, we talk about maybe WhatsApp. You want to get what is current, what is current.
Yes,
you're there. Facebook too, you get to meet a good number of friends. But as I said, it's not like on a regular basis. I condition myself that at this time I look at what is going on around the world. But I prefer to listen to the radio, the TV, where I can get authentic information, about what is going on.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Gaudence Assor, for being my guest this afternoon on your program, The Experts.
Thank you for having me around.
Viewers of 7 News Television, we are drawing the curtain close, but we are not closing 7 News. I wish you to understand that for this program to be a success, we have people you don't see. The technicians, the cameramen are there, the guys controlling the buttons for you to see the images we are having here. We have their editors, Otans Ogbono, you are there, Roland, Amana, and the rest. I respect you all. I love you all. May God bless you and have a wonderful day.